Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Should we start or should we wait for some more time? Should we start?
Yes, ma'am.
Sai Prakash is not joined today.
Ma'am, he's joined.
I joined.
Maitri. Where's Maitri?
Yes, ma'am, I've joined.
You've joined?
I've joined, ma'am.
You're there in every class or not?
I'm there in every class, ma'am.
Okay. So what have we been learning in the last few classes? We started with network layer and we learned some of the important design issues of network layer. That is, whatever are the functions being performed by the network layer, how they can be accomplished. So we have enumerated what are the functions of network layer. One important function that the network layer will do is routing. So route discovery, finding the shortest route or the best route, and then forwarding the data over that route is an important task that is performed by the network layer. Also, network layer software or the network layer protocols will operate inside the subnet. Subnet is a part of the network. Subnet means subnetwork. So you have the source, you have the destination machine, both are connected together via a subnet. This network layer software or these routing algorithms that are there will operate over the subnet. Now, last few classes, we had learned two important approaches that are used in the network layer. We learned about store and forward packet switching. We learned that store and forward packet switching can happen in two ways. One is connection oriented service and the other one is connection less service. So most of the network layer software or the routing algorithms will operate by either creating a connection inside the subnet, a dedicated exclusive connection, or by not creating a connection and allowing every packet to be routed independently. So whether it is connection oriented or whether it is connection less service, in both the routers will maintain certain databases which are called as routing tables. Okay. So in case of connection oriented service, the routing tables will maintain the VCI number. We were discussing about VCI, virtual circuit identifier, and VPI, that is virtual path identifier. So with the help of virtual circuit identifier, every connection that comes to a router from a host is uniquely identified, and that is maintained inside the table. It will also show the outgoing line via which the connection has been established. So when the data comes over the incoming line, router will look into the table, look at the fixed outgoing line, and then forward all the packets. So in connection oriented service, all the packets will move along the same path. But if it is connection less service, then every packet that comes to the router will be independently routed. Every packet is taken up by the router, the destination address is checked, and depending on that, whichever is the best route or whichever is not congested, the route which is more suitable for that packet, over that route, transmission will happen. So in both, that is datagram approach, connectionless, or virtual circuit approach, connection oriented, in both the approaches, routing tables are maintained, and these routing tables will help to establish the path over which the packets have to be transmitted. Last class, we have also seen this distinction, the difference between datagram subnet and virtual circuit subnet, that is connection oriented and connectionless approach. Okay. Today, what we are going to learn is about routing algorithms. Now, first of all, try to understand this. Whenever we transmit the data over a network through a subnet, when the packet comes to the router has to take a decision about the outgoing line over which the packet will be transmitted. That means the router has to decide the best route over which the routing can happen. So router has to take a decision means what? Router is finally a hardware, or it is a device which will forward the packet. But if it has to decide something, means there should be some software which can be used for decision making or for finding out the best route or the best path. Like that, these routing algorithms are going to help us. The routing algorithms are nothing but network layer software which help a router to decide the best path over which data transmission will happen. So generally, there are two types of routing algorithms. One is called as adaptive routing algorithm, and the second one is known as non-adaptive routing algorithm. First of all, you must understand what is a routing algorithm. A routing algorithm is a software. What is a routing algorithm? It is a software, a network layer software, means it operates in the network layer. It executes the functions of network layer. So routing algorithm is a software, a group of instructions or a program which helps a router to decide the path. Because see, subnet is very, very large. Many routers are going to be there. Many transmission paths are going to be there. So over which path the data transmission has to happen, that will be decided with the help of routing algorithm. So that program will execute, the software will execute, and it will decide, it will take a decision on the path over which data should be transmitted. Okay. So routing algorithms are of two types. One is called as adaptive routing algorithm, and the other one is known as non-adaptive routing algorithm. Okay. Which is the first one? Adaptive routing algorithm, and the second one is non-adaptive routing algorithm. First, we'll understand what is non-adaptive routing algorithm. The name itself is suggesting. Non-adaptive routing algorithms are static routing algorithms. Static means they don't change their routing decision based on the conditions in the network. They are always fixed. It's like, suppose you have a bicycle or you have a bike at home and you wish to come to college. Now there are different routes, different ways via which you will come. But if you are making use of the same route every day, even if it's a long route, you decide to come by that route only. You never change your route to come to college. Then the route that you have decided is fixed. It's not going to change. Such a routing algorithm which doesn't change its routing decisions is called as non-adaptive, means which doesn't adapt, which doesn't change. It is a static routing algorithm. Routing decision is always same every day. Even if new routes are found out, suppose you are coming to college, there's a direct path to come, direct road to come to college. But suppose a new road has been constructed, maybe which is smaller, but still you decide to come by the direct route only. So then it is called as a static routing algorithm. The routing decision is never changed. Every day it will remain the same. Whichever packet comes to go to a particular destination, the same route is going to be followed. So there's always a constant route. The route is not going to change. And this routing decision is preloaded on the router. Well in advance, these routes are loaded into the memory of the router. So the router is never going to change its routing decision. And that's why it doesn't adapt to the traffic. Traffic means, if at all, suppose you're considering a subnet. Right now, say XYZ is the route over which the router is going to transmit the data. But suppose from router X, the packet is going to go to router Y and then to router Z. Suppose that route is congested. Lot of load is there on that route. Lot of traffic, lot of packets are already there on that route. Again, if we send more packets, it is going to add to congestion. So this kind of a routing algorithm will not take into consideration the traffic, the existing conditions, or the network load, nothing. Preloaded decisions are there, path is fixed, it is never going to change. Such a constant routing decision, if it is there, then it is called as a non-adaptive routing algorithm. I hope from the name only you can make out. Non-adaptive means which doesn't adapt, which doesn't change. For every destination, there's a fixed route, and that route only is going to be followed. If you're thinking about non-adaptive routing algorithms, just by knowing the points that I discussed just now, you can make out that there are certain drawbacks of non-adaptive routing algorithms. Very easily you can make them up. What are those? If at all one path is there, which is already decided, and already lot of traffic is there, lot of congestion is there, maybe the routers are not working, routers have crashed, they have failed, then that particular path is of no use. Still, because it doesn't adapt and because the route is fixed, you're going to transmit the data over the same path. So that doesn't adapt to the network conditions, and hence in maybe in public networks, in large wide area networks, such a routing algorithm is not preferred. And hence we have the other category of routing algorithms, which is referred to as adaptive routing algorithm. Okay, my mistake, this has become non-adaptive. This is adaptive routing algorithms. Okay. So which is the second category of routing algorithms? Adaptive routing algorithms. And look at what adaptive routing algorithms are. They are dynamic. They're not static. They're dynamic. In the sense, their routing decision always changes. The path may change every time depending on the conditions in the subnet, traffic in the subnet. If congestion is there, some of the network routers have failed, those paths will be removed and new paths will be computed. New routes will be discovered over which data can be transmitted. So adaptive routing algorithms are dynamic routing algorithms. Their routing decision changes every now and then. There is no constant route. Every time it can change. And these routes are not preloaded. Well in advance, they are not loaded. In fact, every time router will compute new routes, then decide the best route among them. So such routing algorithms will adapt to the traffic, adapt to the conditions that are present inside the subnet, and they are more preferred as compared to non-adaptive routing algorithms. Okay. So I think very easily you can make a distinction between non-adaptive and adaptive. In the exam, they ask you this question: what are routing algorithms, and explain their types. So what are routing algorithms? Routing algorithms are nothing but network software which is responsible for deciding the best route over which data can be transferred. And routing algorithms are of two types: non-adaptive and adaptive routing algorithms. What are non-adaptive? They are static routing algorithms. The routing decision will always remain same. There's a constant route that will be followed for a particular destination. These routes are preloaded into the router's memory, and they do not adapt to traffic. They do not adapt to conditions existing inside the network. What are adaptive? They're dynamic routing algorithms. They change their routing decisions. There's no constant route They are not preloaded into the router's memory. So such routing algorithms can easily adapt, easily change, easily adjust according to the network conditions. I hope you people are understanding the difference between non-adaptive and adaptive routing algorithms. Okay. All right. Now there are certain routing algorithms which are very common, and some of them we are going to learn. In fact, what we are going to learn are the methods. Nowadays, these same routing algorithms have been changed to a greater extent. In the sense, the basic concept remains same, but they have been changed according to the types of networks where they have been implemented. So some of the common routing algorithms which we must know are flooding, shortest path routing, distance vector routing, link state routing, hierarchical routing, and some other types of routing are there which you don't have for your syllabus, but in short we will learn them. That is broadcast and multicast routing, and routing for ad hoc networks and mobile hosts. So for your syllabus, what you have is these first few routing algorithms, the basic routing algorithms: flooding, shortest path routing, distance vector routing, link state routing, and hierarchical routing. These are there for your syllabus. Others, we will try to learn them very much in brief so that we understand the routing concepts in broadcast and multicast networks. Okay. All right. So the first type of routing algorithm that we have, we call it as flooding. In fact, I don't know whether we can call it as a routing algorithm. I'll tell you why. First, understand what is meant by flooding. Flooding is a method in which every packet that comes over an incoming line is transmitted over all outgoing lines. Means every packet is sent out on all outgoing. You have to imagine now. You have to imagine a router. You have to imagine an incoming line and an outgoing line. Incoming line means line via which the data will arrive. Outgoing line is those transmission lines that connect it to other routers. So for example, if you can look at this diagram that is there on the slide, the first router that we have where an arrow is shown, this is a router. Now there is one incoming line to this router and two outgoing lines. So if we are using flooding, what we do is when a packet comes to the router, it will create as many copies as there are outgoing lines. So if you're looking at this router, there are two outgoing lines, means it will create two copies of that router. One copy will be sent along this path, the other copy will be sent along this path. Now you may think, why do we create two copies when actually one packet has to reach the destination? The idea in flooding is if every router keeps on creating duplicate packets and forwarding them over all outgoing lines, finally by hook or crook it will reach the destination. That means no path is decided in advance, no route is known. It is just a method where when a packet comes over an incoming line, we create as many copies as the outgoing line, and finally if every router will do it, finally one of the packet will go to the destination. So basically it's a non-adaptive routing algorithm. But if you think about the algorithm, is there any method that we are following to find the route, to find the best route? No. The switch or the router simply replicates the packets and forwards it over all outgoing lines. It's like we don't know the route, so better to create as many copies of the packets and forward it everywhere. Finally, if every router does this task, then it is going to reach the destination. But what will happen? One packet, if you can look at this diagram right now, that blue color packet with the sample packet that is shown there, one packet has given rise to how many packets? Two packets. Then every router, if it does this, as many outgoing lines, that many copies of a single packet will be created. So you can imagine for a single packet, so many packets are getting created. So if thousands of packets we want to send, lakhs of replications will be created. You're understanding? What will happen because of that? That a single packet itself will create many copies, And for no reason, the subnet is going to become congested. Too much traffic will get created. Single packet giving rise to multiple packets, and so many more if at all the number of packets are more. Okay, but this kind of a method can be quite useful. I'll tell you when. If you can look at this diagram, you all can observe on every outgoing line there are many packets, if you all can see. Okay, so source is there, there's a destination. When a packet arrives, suppose 3 packets have arrived to the source router, it will create 3 other packets on one line, 3 other packets on another line, and they will keep on getting forwarded. So all the time the network or the subnet is going to be overloaded. But this kind of a method can be quite useful. When it can be useful, or what are its advantages? One is it is reliable. Reliable because your packet will surely reach the destination, because so many copies and every outgoing line is going to be tested. So at least one packet will go and reach the destination, and maybe one of the packets may also go along a shortest route. So all nodes means routers that are there in the subnet, all nodes are going to be directly or indirectly visited. Okay. So when can this kind of a method be useful? This kind of a method can be useful when your subnet has not booted. Maybe some of the routers are just getting booted up. They don't know who are their neighboring routers. They are not sure about the paths. Or maybe there is, especially in military networks, maybe some part of the network is under attack. You want your confidential data to reach the destination at any cost, then flooding can be used. So flooding can be used not particularly for routing, but flooding can be used in specific situations. And one such situation is when routers are unaware about their neighbors, when routers do not know any path, or when routers get booted up newly and they want to discover the other paths. At that time, they can make use of flooding algorithm. So what can be the problems? Just now we discussed, if we use flooding, it's not a route discovery algorithm. It is just a trial and error method where all the packets that arrive on an incoming line are forwarded over all outgoing lines. So what can be the problems? One packet can generate large number of copies. And when large number of copies or large number of packets are generated, it can give rise to congestion. Congestion means too many packets are there in the network. So the network performance will degrade. Just like you have a traffic jam on a network, on a road, when too many vehicles are there at a crossroad, you see that there's a traffic jam. Maybe nobody is able to move. That kind of a situation can arise inside a network also. So large number of copies means it can give rise to congestion. So suitable if we use damping mechanism so that large number of packets are not created. Damping in the sense, we should find out a method such that not too many replicates are created or not too many duplicates are created. So how can we avoid this duplication? Otherwise, it's a good technique, particularly if at all routers don't know the routes. They don't know the best path and all that. At that time, to discover new routes, this method can definitely be used. So what are the techniques that can be used to overcome the problems? One technique is to make use of a method which is called as a hop count. Hop count means when a packet starts at a particular router, let's call that router as X, we put some count inside the packet, and every time it is forwarded to other destinations or other routers, the hop count, every time it goes to other router, one hop occurs. So the counter decrements by 1. So every router is supposed to forward the packet as long as the counter is greater than 0. If at all the counter reaches the value 0, that packet should be discarded. That means not too many, to avoid too many duplications or to avoid too many replications of the same packet, we can very well follow this method. What is the method? Take the packet, put a hop counter at every hop, that is at every router, decrease the hop by 1, decrease the counter by 1. Every time you decrease the counter, it will reach limited number of hops. Once the counter becomes 0, that packet will not be forwarded anymore. Maybe there are other routers who are going to forward the packet. So still it is a good method. It will reach the destination, but at least we can reduce the number of replications or duplicate copies that get created inside the network. One more method is to make use of a sequence number. What we can do is we can keep track of packets which are responsible for flooding using a sequence number. That is, if at all one particular packet has already been forwarded, then we need not forward that packet once again. So if that's, for example, packet number 1, it comes to a router. So router will send that packet over all outgoing lines. Suppose the same packet is coming from some other router. Packet number 1 is coming from some other router. The router can look into the sequence number, make out that it's a duplicate packet which has already been forwarded, no need to forward it again, and then stop it. So there are different ways of, overcoming the drawbacks of flooding. Nevertheless, even if it's not a complete routing algorithm, it is a method which is used in the subnet, especially when the routers are booting, when they don't know the neighbors, when they don't know any outgoing lines. At that time, this kind of a method can be quite useful. Okay. So you all can see what are the applications of flooding, where all it can be used. Flooding can be used in military applications. What I told you just now, that is hop count or sequence number, that is only some of the packets we are going to send. Not all packets, every packet duplications we are not going to create. That is called as selective flooding. Selective flooding means the routers do not send every incoming packet over every outgoing line. Only those lines that are going in the right direction, which take you to the correct destination. Only over those lines, the flooding can be done. That is called as selective flooding. So have a look at the applications of flooding. Flooding can be used in military applications, as I said, particularly if you have some confidential data that has to reach the destination, especially when one part of the network is under attack, then flooding can be used. It will reach the destination. We can make use of flooding in distributed databases when you have mirror images of the databases and redundancy is there in order to provide reliability of data. That time also this flooding can be used. It is very commonly used in wireless networks, and it is a metric against which other routing algorithms can be compared. Flooding is not a proper full-fledged routing algorithm, no? So how it works and how other routing algorithms work, you can compare and find out and make it, you can make distinction between flooding algorithm and other routing algorithms. Now, which are those other routing algorithms? There is distance vector routing algorithm, there is link state routing algorithm, and so many more. We are going to learn them one by one, but this is what I wanted to tell you about flooding and about adaptive and non-adaptive routing algorithms. I hope I am clear. If you have any doubts, you can raise your hands and ask me, and you all can enter your attendance in the chat box. If anybody has any doubts, you type your question in the chat box or you unmute yourself and ask me.
Ma'am,
Yes.
what happens to the copies of those packets once the packet has reached the destination?
Yeah.
Are they discarded by default?
Yeah, many a times they will never reach the destination, or they may reach the end of the subnet, but they are never going to reach the destination because destination doesn't exist only in those routes. So in such cases, such packets will be discarded. Many a times, if packets are not discarded, then that will again lead to congestion. You can imagine the condition: 1 packet, 3 packets, 10 packets, copies of same packets. So that is going to give rise to congestion. So many a times those packets are discarded or destroyed, and the outgoing lines are made free for other transmission that has to happen. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Anybody else has any doubts? Everybody understood the difference between non-adaptive and adaptive routing algorithms? I hope you all understood
Yes,
these
ma'am.
two, the difference between the two.
Ma'am, also in hop count method,
Hmm.
what will be the default value of counter?
That will
Like
depend.
at
Yeah,
each hop, it will be decremented by 1. So at
that's good, Sai Prakash, you're thinking in that way. What I have told you now is a general method of hop count. That is, generally it is some higher value is put into it. But what should be the exact value will depend on the size of the subnet. Okay, why? Because if the hop count is too large, it will keep on getting forwarded again and again. If it is too small, it might remain in the subnet and never reach beyond a particular point in the subnet. So optimum value of the hop count will depend on the size of the subnet, and that again generally depends on what or how many routers are there in your subnet under consideration. Now subnet could be very, very large, but under consideration how many routers you have. Depending on that, the hop count will be set. There's no specific value like 10 or 20, or that can't work. Suppose you set it to 10 and suppose you have 20 routers there. Only one part of the network you are able to cover, not the remaining. So optimum, I don't use the word maximum, neither I use the word minimum. I use the word optimum. Optimum value of the hop count will depend on the size of the network or the size of the subnet. And there are ways of finding out the optimum value. Here I have told you just the method. Okay? We can put a hop count and try to lessen the burden on the network. We can try to see to it that not too many copies will get created. But that again will depend on the size of the subnet and the number of routers present inside the subnet. Okay.
yes, ma'am.
Any more questions on what we learned just now? Now, flooding is a very naive algorithm in the sense, no routing as such, set it over all outgoing lines. But we have others, like I'm going to teach you distance vector routing or link state routing, which is a proper routing algorithm. Steps are executed to decide the route. Okay, that we will learn in the next class. We'll stop here.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.